$2.81. I want to get your, but before I get your thoughts though on like gold derivatives, bullion banking, because I know you've been working in the banking sector for decades. I want to ask about your background first. You worked in London for a long time, right? So you're not from England. I don't hear
in bonds, and yeah, so that's to the until 2012, and
problems of the U.S. government's increasing debt load, and all of us are familiar, I'm sure, with the general concept here, but just some of the charts Jonathan put into his article and some of the specific points he made show just how serious this is. And let me just mention before we dive into it, we won't require you to watch the video, so we'll verbally go through anything that you would need to know in case you listen to the audio version of this episode. But
all right, let me. All right, I'm just going to read this before I turn my camera on. 21st of December, 2023, 9 a.m., New York. Over the course of the Over the course of the last 15 months, Lind Partners has been the target of a small group of nefarious individuals spreading misinformation about our position with finger motion. While our general policy is not to comment on our position, we felt the need to make this clarification based on information about our holdings that has already been or will shortly be made public given the amount of misinformation being shared. On March 23, 2023, Lind Global Fund disclosed the beneficial ownership of 3,200,000 shares of finger motion, including 2.5 million shares of common stock, 700,000 shares of common stock issuable upon the conversion of convertible notes held by Lind Global Fund 2 LP, representing a 6.8% interest in finger motion on a diluted basis. As of today, Lind Global Fund 2 LP and all of its affiliates hold a total of 1,000 common shares of finger motion, with no other warrants, options, shorts, derivative, or other instruments relating to finger motion. While we have no obligation to do so, we are issuing this statement as a warning to the investing public. Anonymous individuals alleging that Lind Partners has taken naked short positions in finger motion are disseminating false information. If you have been told that Lind Partners or any of its affiliates are naked short finger motion, you have been misled and lied to. We can only assume that the bad actors making these statements are doing so for personal gain and or are part of a broader promotion intended for their own financial benefit or the ultimate beneficiaries of a paid promotion campaign. We are pleased that since Lind Global Fund's investment, finger motion share price increased from $1.08 on the date of the announcement of our initial investment to a high of $9.79 to the current price of $3.80. It has been a profitable relationship. No shite Sherlock. All right, I'm going to stop reading that. I'm just going to show you something. The rally in finger in 2020 was met by incredible amounts of selling of stock that didn't exist. Let's go back to when they said they announced this. They don't give the date of the initial announcement. They don't give the date of the initial announcement. Let me look it up. Lynn Partners, finger motion. Maybe they gave it, I just didn't see it. Finger motion receives $4 million investment from Lynn Partners on it's so hard to find the date. August 10, 2022. All right, here's August at this kind of low. Look what happened before August 10. Do you see all that selling? Do you see all that selling before August? That is the criminal clients. I've always thought Lynn Partners is just a front. They should know who their clients are. They're unregistered securities dealers, and they're selling toxic convertible notes to a cohort of criminal hedge funds, in my judgment. Everything on this is in my judgment, and in my opinion. Now, what they do is they sell the stock before the deal is closed. And then, if you notice, this is where the buying actually came from us and Lou probably, but it had and from other big whales, very little to do with Lynn Partners' efforts. The buying was all retail and whales that had no association with Lynn Partners or Lynn Partners' marketing efforts. Then look what happened. And I remember, and I have screenshots of it. Of course, there's always the argument that the FINRA data doesn't include the buybacks. Well, why does FINRA post incomplete data if that's true? But somebody, and I would posit that it was Lynn Partners et al. In other words, Jeff Easton, who I've heard is look, you can either choose that Jeff Easton doesn't know what he's doing. That's possible. He's an idiot. That's the same thing. Or he just happens to be such a good guy. He can convince people to buy into these toxic, debt spiral, highly dilutive notes, which crush the market cap of company after company after company, just because he's a good guy. Or you've got to realize that he knows who he's selling to. And this is the clients behind him, the endless amount of LLCs behind him that he, quote, syndicates these to, start selling. Well, look what they did. They sold it down to $1. Now he's taking credit for that your buying and other people's buying has made that go up. I don't know. I don't want to. I just look at what I see, and this is circumstantial evidence. Now, let me just address for me before Ham comes on. A small group of nefarious individuals. Well, let me start my camera. It won't start. Oh, God, it won't start. I'm sorry, the camera is so slow. I've got to change that at some point. Look, they have really good lawyers they paid for with your money. And they're nefarious individuals. Okay, so he just called me flagrantly wicked or impious, evil. In writing. That's libel. And I will look into how much it would cost to hire an attorney to, and now, of course, they have the biggest attorneys in the world. They have the most expensive because they have your money, and they have the SEC, and they have the graduates who always got their straight A's and they go to the SEC, and now our CV is checked. And we don't want to go against Baker Hostetler, or I'm making up the names, but these big great law firms. I'm not sure. I have no idea if Baker Hostetler was part of it. So, excuse me for that's a company that I've worked on the other side with, and on the other side of. It just came to my head. They have nothing to do with this here. So he's calling me flagrantly wicked, impious, evil. Well, let's see. I mean, I don't have the deep pockets of Jeff Easton, Hailey Kim, Sam Chung, John Hancock, Philip Valier. But I do know that every stock they finance gets destroyed. Let me ask you something. They financed this deal in August of 2022. Why did the stock go down like that? Look, if you guys want to believe that the system is fair to retail, that the regulators are honest, and that Jeff Easton is an honest man, then you have to determine, in my judgment, that all of these CEOs have crappy ideas and their stocks deserve to be crushed. Let me show you, before Ham calls in, the note. August 9, 2022, securities purchase agreement between Finger Motion and Lynn Global Fund 2. And I'll try to find,
Federal Reserve's monetary
I'll try to find, while Ham's talking, some of the important parts here. It says here, maximum percentage, 4.99. They just show they have over 6%. They never announced it that way when it was over 6%. VWAP. You know what VWAP means? Do you know what VWAP means? Means as of any date, the price determined by the first of the following clauses that applies. Anyway, I don't want to. They define the markets. It's basically the volume average weighted price, but they can include every single market out there. So they gave $4,800,000. Let me ask you something. Why did Lynn Partners fight Finger Motion hard? Finger Motion offered to pay the entire amount back plus penalties and interest, and Lynn Partners fought it. Why? Who doesn't want to get their money paid back? Lynn Partners had to hire Finger Motion had to hire Wes Christian to close the deal, to buy back the note. Prepayment right. They have good attorneys, much better than they've practiced at their art of deception. Very practiced. In my judgment, everything's in my judgment. Everything's in my opinion. All right, I just want to see, okay, repayment of the note. The company shall not make any voluntary cash prepayments on any indebtedness at any time while any amounts are owing under the note, other than the cash payments the company is required to make pursuant to the express terms thereof existing on the date hereof. The company will direct 25% from such proceeds to repay the note. Well, let's move on. I'm under a gun. We'll have to go through this point by point, but we've only got 1 minute. I want to get to the default. I want to find the default provisions, and I want to find the tranche provisions. I'm not sure there are any in this loan. And I want to find the VWAP formula. And I want to find how many shares had to be put at the transfer agent so the criminals knew that those shares were always there as they drove the price down. I mean, this is circumstantial evidence. The price action, the timing. I'm not Perry Mason. I'm not a lawyer. But Senator, don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. Look, I'll find out if libel and slander can allow me to request full disclosure from all clients, whether or not Lynn Partners knew it's their customer, and the time and sales, the blue sheets. Where did the 100 million in sales come of shares when there were I can't remember, less than 10 million or 15 million in the float? Where'd it come from? We'll get full disclosure if I can. I don't have the deep pockets of the criminal funds or this genius. Oh, it's not me. Well, how come every company, you know, 3 of them? Look at Bragg. Bragg's $5 now. But you know, CRTD, you know, Finger. Well, Vocal and CRTD are the same thing. All right, let me see if he's called me. We'll wait for him to call. Let me ask you this. How do Lynn Partners afford their Madison offices when they don't make any money of any significance on these transactions, at least when you read the terms of the note?
Program Andy.
All right. They're dying for the voice. They can't stand listening to me.
William,
Yeah. They're
call the other line.
all right.
Call ended.
Of course, I won't find the other line. Let's see if this is it. Yeah, I just got to put you on the speaker.
Hold on a second. Merge these people in.
All right. Relax, everyone. Relax, everyone.
Hi, everybody. I'm waiting for William. William, you here?
I'm here.
All right. Just in 1 second.
Okay, I found the VWAP formula. Hey, I heard you're nefarious. You're evil.
Yeah, I am.
That's what nefarious means. You are evil, and I am evil. Is that liable? Can we go for full disclosure on their trades if they've
Well,
called us evil?
Let's start out by going through all the.
Because in writing is liable.
All right. Well, listen.
Libel. I
I'm
mispronounced
just
it.
going to try
Libel.
to go through some of the things.
They're liable to have libeled us.
I just wanted to get it off my chest, some of the things that Lynn has done that we've heard before for the last couple of years since they've been here. The company took a loan against them. They turned it into a toxic note, Lynn. My friend funded the company to give them the money back. Lynn Partners wanted to sue because they had no right to raise money when the stock went to 10. And they wanted to make sure that the company couldn't raise any money to pay them back because it all had to go through them. But my friend gave them $3.5 million. He paid $10 for it in private placement, gave it to the company. The company tried to pay back Lynn. Lynn would not take the money back. They didn't want to get repaid early. And even with interest, they were short the stock and they needed to somehow convert the stock. They were trying everything in the world, trying to knock it down to get it to the lowest point. They drove it down to 60 cents, and it was even in contact with the company trying to convert at the lowest possible price. All right, that's what they do. They short, distort, and drive it down. Their lawyers called up the company, all right, and they called the company up and they were concerned that the company was orchestrating a short squeeze against them. That was their lawyers. If they're long, what were they so concerned about? Lynn, the company, everyone has documentation about what you did. So cut the bullshit out. We know what you do. For everybody who doesn't understand, they sign a note, they give you the whatever money it is, and they short it in another account. I put it up 5,000 times. I put the video of Sedona. Finger Motion is the public company. Sedona was the public company. The lender was Amro. The lender is Lynn. The short seller was Rhino Advisors. We don't know the name of the account Lynn is using offshore to make it short. That's how the game is played. We know they don't do it in their own accounts. They think we were born yesterday, these idiots. All right, we know what they do. The Kramers do the same thing. What do you think all those LLCs they have? They hide it. They sign an account with Geneva Roth. I'll just go to GTI, GTII, same as Sedona. Amro, they used Geneva Roth. We don't know the LLC that they were hiding it in. All right, until they got dragged in by Alpine, you can see it all over the place. That's what they do. Putting a statement out today, all right, they're trying to get rid of us. That's all they're trying to do. We've never done anything wrong. I reached out to Avid and trying to get him to put up the video because he did a nice little video on all the deals. A lot of the deals they did, they're all zeros and pennies. All right, their backer from Australia is worth $2 billion, which he's stolen from everyone in the U.S. He's up 220% working with Lynn Partners. Lynn Partners has done 89 deals. They converted 123 million shares from these 22 companies they destroyed, right? How many more shares did they sell around to get those stocks down so they can convert the 123 million to show that they converted? Like RWLK, oh, we're a holder, RWLK. The stock went straight down. They do the same thing, all right? The only one they haven't destroyed yet is BRAG.
Well, it's at 5. Did you know that?
What?
Brag's at 5. It was at 10 the last time you brought it up.
No, no, it's not. They did the deal at 10. They raised the money. They did if you go back and look at times and sales, the stock is traded 800 shares today, BRAG.
Okay.
A few months ago, out of the blue, I was watching it every day. It was trading 800, 300, 1,200 shares. All of a sudden, between 450 and 575, it traded a couple of million shares. That was Lynn Partners paying someone probably to buy the stock. They shorted it to them or converted with them. They did some maneuver there. And all of a sudden, the stock's never traded again.
Hey,
So they got a dirty money manager. They got a dirty money manager, took a payoff from them to buy stock, and that's what you call a pump and dump. They did that. There's not even a question. The volume in the stock disappeared, and it's down to 100 shares again, with 4,000 shares.
Before you go on, I want to reiterate, everything here is our opinion and in our judgment. Yes. It's not financial advice, and you have to look it up yourself. But it's in our opinion, and it's in our judgment.
Do your homework. These guys are criminals. They make a fortune. Companies are all destroyed. Shareholders wiped out, and they have the audacity to put up a thing and say they're good guys. All right, they're absolutely criminals. Every company they invested with is destroyed. Destroyed. Finger Motion's fighting for its life, hiding law.
Well, they even took credit for the stock price going up.
Yeah, ask them to call their lawyer up, and that's why the lawyer was concerned that there was a short squeeze going on. All right, to tell them to ask their lawyer. Why'd the lawyer tell that to the public company? All right, the public company has every right to tell people what's going on with these criminals. All right, go to a conference, the CEO, everybody will talk about it. They all know Lynn is bad. Lynn was introduced by Benchmark. Benchmark is tied to Lynn. You go to Benchmark, as soon as you walk in the door with an appointment, they're shorting your stock. I remember when Benchmark got involved, the stock went straight down.
Exactly.
It was like $5 going down every day, just blasting away, blasting $3, blasting all the way down. The only thing that's coming to this company has been Lynn Partners. Everything about this company is great, except Lynn Partners. They destroyed the whole thing, brought these cannibals here, and they think we're gonna let them get away. We're not letting them get away. All right. I was communicating with law enforcement last night, watching television. All right. They're going to get these guys. I promise you, we're going to get them all the information we want. Let them go through discovery. Let them knock on the door. They did 89 deals. You know, they made a mistake somewhere. Wiring money, there's wire fraud, security fraud, you name it, just like Savvy Management. And by the way, I heard Savvy Management was a lot of deals that Lynn did. Let's see. I like to see the two. If anyone can do the legwork to see what deals Lynn did, if they cross-reference with Savvy, they all run in the same circle. These guys.
Lynn has just done a series of deals this year.
Well,
That's why they're putting this out. If I were a CEO, and I'm going to state this, I'm not an attorney. Do your own advisement. But if you sign up, if you're a CEO and you sign up with Lynn Partner, you're going to destroy your market cap, and you're just buying yourself a job.
That's it. You're working for them now. You're going to slaughter your family, your friends, any company that anybody knows that Lynn has done a deal with. Please put the symbol up. I don't have the energy to chase these guys down on every stock. My favorite one is SYTA. This stock was 10. They drove it to a penny. They reversed it back up again, and they knock it down again. SYTA. Go do your homework. The company's destroyed. Shareholders, they lost everything in this company. Everything. That was just one that I can't remember all of them. Abbott did a nice little video on the trading on all their stocks. All of them have the same pattern, straight down, like Richard, it's not legal advice.
Here's their VWAP formula. 80% of the average, they get to buy the stock from the company at 80% of the average of the 3 lowest daily VWAPs during the previous 20 trading days prior to delivery of the request. So in other words, they drive the price down. They get the lowest 3 days volume weighted average, and they get a 20% discount to that.
That's what they do. And they just drive it down as fast as they can. Finger motion, they drove it down from over $3-4 down to 60 cents, and we're trying to convert down there. If you don't believe me, wait till the court document comes out and the company tells you the story about what they did to them, how the company was tortured by these guys, trying to convert it 60 cents if they're driving it down from $4 or $5. How's that? This is the company that was listed on the NASDAQ, all right? Approved by the NASDAQ. Everything about them was on the up and up. And yet these guys, the SEC and FINRA allowed these criminals to run around destroying the stock, destroying it. All right, we're not letting them go. This is a case study, and I thank you, Lynn, for putting your statement out today, because I just forwarded it to the FBI. All right. I also forwarded them the truck in front of the Southern District. I put it up on Twitter last night. That was a request from law enforcement. That wasn't what I didn't wake up and say, let me go look all night, put the truck in front of the Southern District. If anyone has any pictures of the truck in front of the Southern District, it was in July of 22. All right. Please post it up there again. All right. Our friends want to see it. But they asked me if you ever put the truck in front of the Southern District. And I said, yes. And I had to go out and look for it. All right. They're coming. All right? It's not easy to put a criminal case together, but I'm talking about it because these guys want to sit here and play games and act like they're altar boys. They robbed everybody, destroyed everything. Right? The Madison Avenue. I just posted, I'm going to put the truck in front of your office again. I'm going to pay 10 people to hand out flyers with your faces on it and let them know that the people in this building are criminals, security fraud violators, counterfeited, you name it.
Well, it's possible that it's their clients, so-called clients, doing all this, but they need to know who. It's know your customer, and they have a responsibility.
They're the kingpin. They want
They're
to
the
be the big
kingpin.
shot. They are the kingpin. They sign the paperwork. They do all this shit, and they tee everybody up and laughing all the way to the bank all these years. All right? They met the wrong crowd. We understand it. And Pete from Philly put up a little smirk about it before. He gave a nice quote. He would understand it more. So Pedro from Philly, if you're listening, please give your opinion about what you see, because I value it.
Well, I might be able to get him on here if I
If you
send.
can, see if you can get him on.
I'll send an
I'd love to hear it.
invite. I'll send an invite to.
Because he is the guy that understands it as well as anybody.
I'll
And
send it to
I don't want you
Busy
to just get him.
if I can send it to Busy.
Yeah, I just don't want people to hear it's my take on this stuff, my opinion on this stuff. But I want other people that are from the street that understand what.
You know, I'm looking at the promissory note, and my eyesight isn't perfect, but I don't see an interest rate. But let me ask you something. How do they afford Madison Avenue office space on the paltry interest rate and the small discount to par that they do on these notes? How do they avoid their lifestyle? I can't find it.
Well, he's flying around the Greek islands, riding jet skis, and he's laughing all the way to the bank.
They're getting paid off by, in my judgment, they're getting paid off by the criminals that they sluice and funnel these deals to. They get a kickback.
Listen, there's a paper trail. I'm sure the FBI, Secret Service, DOJ know how to unwind these complicated wire transfers. Okay, it's pretty easy to follow.
Oh, they got
Follow
warrants.
the sell tickets, and you can see what happens when you follow the sell tickets, or they're going to get.
Maybe we can get Mark Bazile on here too.
You reach out to him. You can reach out to him. I'm pretty sure he's available.
I'll have Busy invite him. My computer is really slow, so it's not happening quite yet. But I can't find the interest rate on this note. It's almost as if there's no interest rate on the note.
Pedro wrote, it's not easy hiding a massive naked short. It takes time.
It's not easy being cheesy.
Right? They wanted everybody to know they're angels. That's what they wanted. They're angels. They're unregistered toxic lenders. That's what they do. They did 89 deals, something like that. They converted up to 123 million shares. That's all illegal. Unregistered toxic lender. Finger motion, if you're listening, sue these guys today. Get Mark. He'll get all these notes ripped up. Any money they made will have to be returned to the company. Go get these guys. They're unregistered toxic lenders operating without a license.
So Busy,
23 million shares they sold.
I don't see any response from Busy, but Busy, if you're here, could you invite Mark Bazile and Pedro Philly to come on? I'll zip my mouth. They can talk to the hamster and answer questions and all that.
Listen, you got to understand, Lynn Partners gets dragged in. We want discovery. We want their phone records, their bank records, the wire transfers, all the deals, where the deals came from. All this information. All right. You want to play the game? You know you're dirty. We all know you're dirty. Everybody on the street.
What a effing thin beer to say, oh, it's not us. What is it? Right. Hundreds, thousands of LLCs? You don't think?
I told you, if it's not Lynn Partners, it's the man on the moon. That's who's naked short the stock. He's the only one that has the beef with finger motion. Is the man on the moon.
Let me understand it. Jeff Easton is doing this as a courtesy for the companies?
All right.
Come on. Look, there's only two choices. He's an idiot or he's complicit. He's incompetent or he's a crook.
He's an idiot. He's an idiot. I told you I had a friend that was in his office with him. He said, this guy is definitely orchestrating the whole thing. 100% orchestrating the whole thing.
Look, I hate to bring it up, but there's a CEO out there who used to have faith in him. He may still, but just look at what Lynn Partners did to CRTD. Just look at it. Or their clients or their clients. They're all one of a parcel. It's called racketeering.
I forgot about that stock. He destroyed that stock. He was tied to that stock also.
It's called racketeering in normal times.
Listen, he's any company that's taken money from him.
Okay, Busy's going to do it. It might take a little
CEOs
time.
of those companies have taken the notes after we've exposed them. They should all be sued by shareholders for what doing taking the notes from these guys. I don't care how much money they give you. They destroy your company and your shareholders. You're wiped out. The only thing you're gonna wind up doing is reversing your stock, killing your shareholders, repeat and rinse. That's it. There's these toxic lenders. You have Yorkville, who's on Wolf. We got the Kramers on a bunch of small cap stocks. And we have these guys. Now, they're all over the place. They're like shit. They're all over the place. Mark Bazile can tell you. He knows 50 names. I don't know them all. Just like Savvy Management. He walked away. He has a $10 million condo that he purchased in Miami. Who knows how much more he stole? All right. He was in deals all over the street. All right. These guys all operate together. They're a pack of wolves. And then you get the people that feed off of them, the naked shorts that they hire. They go out and they get the assassins, Timothy Sykes, all these other guys. They get the White Rock. They write these reports. It's a crime family. It's worse than the mafia. We can all see what they do.
Here's some jerk that just signed in. My opinion,
Hang up on him. Don't listen.
We need to see proof of fraud. Wow.
Yeah. Tell them to go to Singapore. Go to Thailand. Go over there. Get out of here. Proof of fraud. Call a cop. Go ahead, knock yourself out. You try.
The real thing, it really kind of boils down to one thing. If you're a CEO listening to this and you sign up with the Lynn Partners, you might as well go buy a store at a mall that sells lampshades or knives. You're just buying yourself a job. That's it. That's it. You don't have to get into any fraud or anything like that. You're going to set yourself up. If you have tranches, VWAPs, backward-looking formulas, and then default provisions, and then you have to put free-to-trade shares at a prime broker, you're just setting yourself up to become an employee.
What do I tell Mark Bazile to sign in to call you? What do I tell him to do?
No, Busy Brands is going to send him a link, and or just have him come on with you, or if he has to use.
All right, let's Busy.
He signs in on that. It's damn it, not Safari, but the other one, the Google. What the hell is it called? Chrome. Signs in on Chrome, and it's easy, and he'll come up here and he can talk and his face will be there and he's done it before. Let Busy handle it.
Oh, no problem.
Busy is the man. But anyway, the other thing is, if Lynn Partners telling the truth and they're high-priced attorneys, I personally can't believe an attorney would approve this press release, which calls me evil. I take great exception to that.
Right.
Great exception.
Right.
That I'm nefarious.
Exactly. I don't give a shit. They can call me whatever you want.
And that I'm some part of some scheme to defraud investors.
We're all billionaires from doing this stuff. We're fighting to expose the naked short.
Look, to be blunt,
allowed this to happen. We trap these guys.
To be blunt, I've done this for 3 years, but live, I've done it for a year and a half. I don't know if I can keep doing it. That's how rich I've become.
Right. Yeah.
Screw it.
Listen,
Chrome.
Any day, anywhere. Listen, tell Lynn any day, anywhere will come. And listen, the management of Finger Motion, I'm sure, has plenty of communication with Lynn Partners, right? And Benchmark, right? They reached out to Benchmark. Someone sent them to Benchmark. Benchmark says, sure, we got you a lender. We're going to give you not a convertible note. We're going to do a loan. They converted a loan into they changed the note from a loan to a toxic debt. They trapped this company because they needed the money to use for a big transaction.
Why don't you talk about what the short position was before Lynn Partners, after the run up?
6 million shares.
Okay.
6 million shares.
And what happened once it ran to, I don't know, $9?
It exploded to 100 million shares when it went to 10.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, the man on the moon.
You've got to
And they kept
understand.
and they kept attacking. The same pattern as GTII. It squeezed up and they attack and attack and attack.
The note
All these
gives
stocks that you
protection.
see all these stocks that you see that get exploded up, all of a sudden they're attacked like crazy back down. It's the same stupid pattern.
I'm sorry, I keep over talking
No,
you.
listen,
I'm
it is
just
what
so
it is.
worked
It's
up
like
by it. It's just,
There's nothing to get worked up about. They want to play the game. The public company has plenty of documentation. I told you my friend funded the company at $10 when the stock was buying at $10. He paid them $3.5 million to buy stock so that they can pay off the note to Lynn. Lynn refused to take the money back. Who doesn't take the money back with full interest penalties? We posted that on Twitter 80,000 times at the time when they wouldn't take the money back. Because they needed to convert some stock. They were stuck. They didn't want it. They wanted the shares, but they needed to drive it back down. They did everything in their power to do it. And I'm sure the communication between the company, Lynn, and Lynn's lawyers to the company will show all that out in a court of law. Good luck. Yeah, the company's out here destroying itself for Lynn. Oh, because and Lynn's an angel here, right? There's only one thing that makes the stock the way it's trading is a convertible debenture, and that's Lynn, the unregistered toxic lender. 90 deals.
I will look for it. I won't bore you now. I have the news article. I'll put it up here from Australia. The qualification that Jeff Easton has to be a big swinging thing on Wall Street is he day traded Yahoo for 6 to 9 months. That's his qualification. So you tell me. I believe Jeff Easton was trained and he's complicit and he's bought and paid for by criminal funds that are sluicing counterfeit shares through our system, stealing from us, destroying market caps because Goober Gary Gensler ignores it. Adiana Friedman collects her 28 million. She ignores it. And your broker dealers are complicit. Prime brokers are complicit. And market makers are fraud. That's what I think. It's my opinion.
Listen, if you really look at this thing, I know it's a sick comparison, but it's like that Jeffrey Epstein. He sets it all up, and all the other characters in the chain of command help to, destroy these girls' lives. That's what they did, right?
Right.
And all the wolves came around thinking it was a free meal. It's the same pattern. Lynn came out here, he signing the papers, giving them the money, and all the guys behind him are the animals behind them. They work as a pack of wolves. That's what they do. Jeff Easton, if you think we're stupid enough to know that you did it at your Lynn Partners on Madison Avenue, then you're a moron. We all know it's the same pattern as Sedona. Okay, you sign the papers, we won't short it. It's the same thing. I put up a story about Millennium with Izzy Englander, where they shorted a secondary. You can't short a secondary and then cover on the offering. Lynn Partners, if they were shorting before the secondary, which is the offering that they were part of, they were shorting it and then covering when they drove the stock lower on the conversion. It's the same thing. It's illegal. Millennium, I put it up. Millennium, New York, $10 billion fund. Izzy Englander. They all do it. They short You do a secondary. I don't care if you do a secondary in Apple. These guys short it, and then they call the broker up. Goldman Sachs will call them up, say, Apple's going to do a secondary. You go like this, where you doing it at? Oh, the stock's 200, we'll probably put it up at 190. Put me in for 1 million shares. And what do? They start whacking it out, shorting it, naked shorting it, driving the price down. And just before the offering, let's say the stock is now 192, Goldman Sachs will come out and say, hey, you know what? The stock is pulled back, Apple. We're going to raise you the money at 185.
So
Now think about what you just saw them do. They lowered the price by $5 on the offering. All these idiots that were shorting it, naked shorting it, drove it down, and they make more money. That's what they do.
I just put up the chart, and it shows the year of 2022 and other years. But they apparently funded this in August of 2022. Prior to that, from about, it's hard to tell here, from January, but from March until the funding, the stock went straight down. It went from 488, and they funded it when the stock was below $1. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it just goes straight down?
They were trying to convert it down there.
No, this is before the note was even funded. This is before the note signed. They drive the stock price down by selling the companies. They give companies their own money. They sell the stock before they deliver it to you. And here, let me read the first sentence. A small group, Lynn Partners has been the target of a small group of nefarious individuals spreading misinformation about our position with finger motion. While our general policy is to not comment on our positions, we felt the need to make this clarification based on information about our holdings that has already been or will shortly be made public, given the amount of misinformation shared.
Well, Mark Bazile, if you're listening, call William, get on the call, because I believe that you need to go after these guys.
Or call or hook up with Ham on his phone, and it can come across. While we have no obligation to do so, we are issuing this statement as a warning to the investing public. I cannot, anonymous individuals alleging that Lynn Partners has taken naked short positions in finger motion are disseminating false information. If you have been told that Lynn Partners or any of its affiliates are naked short finger motion, well, maybe you're not anymore, you have been misled and lied to. We can only assume that the bad actors making these statements are doing so for personal gain and or are part of a broader promotion intended for their own financial benefit. This is written by a effing attorney, or they're the ultimate beneficiaries of a paid promotion campaign. Listen to this bullshit. We are pleased that since Lynn Global Fund's investment, finger motion share price increased from $1.08. It was over $5 before you funded it on the date of the announcement of our initial investment to a high of $9.79 to the current price of $3.80. It has been a profitable relationship. I bet it has.
Yes. Well, listen, I texted Mark to give you a call.
Well, he may be busy. Anyway, we can arrange another call sometime. But I'm too worked up. Maybe I'm toxic for this.
No, there's nothing to be worked out. They're showing their hand, right? They're showing their cards, and they have nothing better to do. They're showing their hands that they're stuck, all right, and they don't know how to get out of it. And they're trying to deflect the negative stories that are coming out about them. We want if everybody can post a symbol about these guys and the companies they've done. Abbott did a video. I'm going to try to get it up there for us so we can see what the hell these characters have done. All there. We're going to show how good at trading they are. They're the Warren Buffetts Every company they invested in is a zero, yet they're rich. Figure that one out. All right, so I'm going to try to find out the exact date that the company. Hold on a second. He said he's on now, but he doesn't know how to unmute. You know how to do that.
Oh,
right? Tell
I
him-
don't see him here.
Well, tell him how to get on and call you up and patch him in.
Well, I asked him if he's using Chrome as his.
I'm not gonna ask him. He's on the thing. Just he's on your thing.
Oh, he's here. Well, let me look for him. I don't see him.
He says I'm on, but I don't know how to unmute.
Let me look for him. Relax, everyone. Let me put it like this so we can have two people. And I just don't see him. He'll pop up. And then the unmute is, well, maybe Busy can tell him. Just let Busy. Thank God for
Hold on a
Busy.
second, hold on.
Thank God for Busy. I don't normally a box shows up. Normally a little box shows up and I can click on it and then you go here, but I don't see that box. I'd like.
Hi, everyone. I got Mark.
Okay, great. You're the best.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Mark, a quick question. You've seen these guys' reputations as unregistered toxic lenders. Is it the same? Is it you actually went after a lot of these characters? All right. Is it the same pattern that they all do? Just what's your take on it? Illusion?
He hit the mute button.
Hey, Gary,
Yeah.
sorry, Busy was calling me. I have Busy on the line also.
All right, Busy's here.
I guess it's a party.
All right. So, Mark, on your take on unregistered toxic lenders, give us your take on the pattern that these guys all seem to have.
Well, what these guys do is they purposely fly under the radar. So they don't have any oversight from FINRA, which has excessive compensation regulations, and the SEC that can actually work with FINRA to kind of monitor their activities. So it's kind of disgusting because these guys put in all sorts of terms in their funding contracts that really alleviate almost any risk that they have by funding a company. For instance, I heard William talking about the average of the lowest bid for 3 days within the last 20 days. Well, not saying that any one particular fund plays this game, or their affiliates or friends don't play this game, but there's a lot of incentive to drive down the stock. So they get the lowest price of those 3 days average of trading. And then they release the stock, the market goes back up, and then they sell and cover after they've acquired the stock from the issuer. And this is a pattern that really just has gone from being tested on the OTC markets with small amounts of money to now huge amounts of money with established NASDAQ companies, even though they're small caps, because of the exposure the stock has in the public markets. The research, the white papers, the institutional investors that are allowed to invest in them, and it's just a I've seen my firm has just been engaged for 5 new cases against 5 similar funders that do this.
Call from Pedro Philly CILLE.
All right, hang on.
We all think they have the
Hey, Pedro, let me merge you in.
directly from the issuer instead of buying it in the
Hey, Ham,
markets.
Mark and Ham, sorry. Pedro
Yeah.
Philly has joined as well, but keep talking. Just know he's on here if you want his commentary.
All right, so this is kind of what they do. And you know, Ham and Bill are right. If you go back and look at all the stock symbols that a lot of these dilution funders get into, they've never recovered since the funding. They've never recovered. And, you know, and I have to just, I don't want to talk about Lynn Partners directly, but
Yeah, no,
there's
talk
one
in
thing
general.
well, I just want one thing that's typical of what they said in their press release. They're still holding 1,000 shares.
Right.
Why? Why are you holding 1,000 shares? If you traded out already, you know, millions of shares, why are you holding on to?
What's
1,000
your
shares?
answer? What's your
Because,
answer?
well, my answer is, they're not definitely, you know, my opinion wouldn't be they're holding 1,000 shares alone for a long position, right? What I think they're doing is I think that they're keeping the contract alive, because as long as shares remain outstanding and they have ownership or access to shares under the contract, you know, they may be able to invoke other default provisions or breach provisions or whatever, maybe accumulate more shares. I don't know. I haven't read their financing documents. So I'm just saying, this is just in general. I've seen a lot of funders withhold a little bit of stock just to keep the company on the hook. Now, this doesn't mean that they haven't fully converted or exercised out. They can hold the stock for whatever purpose they want. But if it's done to hold the people to contract liability, well, that's a different purpose. And I like how they did put that they made a lot of money on this. It was very successful for them. And you know, I'm glad they did, because it raises other questions. But that's beside the point. I'm not going to talk about anybody in particular, but you know, this is a pattern that you can see now with other symbols that are small cap on NASDAQ that are falling prey to the same kind of problem. And the statute is kind of clear, and the SEC cases and a couple of our civil cases were very clear. If you buy and sell securities, whether it's a convertible note, a convertible preferred stock deal, you're involved in an equity line of credit, and or warrants, you're purchasing securities by definition under the Securities Act. Well, if you engage in that as a business, which, you know, the 11th Circuit Court said more than a few, so more than 3 or 4 a year can put you into the dealer category. And if you're doing it, whether you do it through a broker or not, kind of exposes you to the requirement to register. And the great thing about it is, if you're required to register and you don't, Section 15cc of the Exchange Act says those transactions are void. That means they're canceled. And this is consistent with all of the SEC enforcement cases against dilution funders, and it's consistent with our civil actions against dilution funders. And the only difference is the SEC's remedy is full disgorgement of all profits they made against all the issuers, which, as you can imagine, could be hundreds of millions of dollars. Penny stock bars, civil fines. You know, on the civil issuer side, it's rescissionary damages. It puts the parties back to where they were before this contract. So if a funder gave $100 million to a NASDAQ company and took $600 million out of the market, you know, through conversions, exercise of warrants, whatever the short or naked short game they're playing aside, they owe that company $500 million. So it's pretty perfunctory analysis. And believe me, they've been squirming around. Or we fall into the trader exception, or we have no action letters in the past, and the courts are like, no. Trader exception only protects you if you buy and sell securities in the open market, not.
So they can't do it through a convertible debenture then from the company?
Absolutely not. That's because they're not buying in the open market. They're buying it directly from the issuer. And then it raises a whole bunch of whether or not you're an underwriter. You know, they make all these representations and contracts saying, oh, we're going to hold long term, blah, blah, blah. But the moment they convert, or the moment they exercise warrants, they usually sell right out. And that's dealer activity to catch the spread, right? It's not underwriter activity. So they have a lot of, they've thrown a lot of things at the courts, and especially in the SEC enforcement actions, but the courts are like, yeah, get lost. That's not what the law is. No action letters doesn't obfuscate the need to meet the requirements of the Securities Act or the Exchange Act. And it's just smokescreen after smokescreen. And that's why, even having been represented by the biggest law firms in the country, they've lost. They've lost every single action. There's not one case that I know of or I could point to after doing a lot of research. And all the attorneys in my firm have done their research on this. There's not one case that said this kind of activity is not dealer activity. And that's just how it is. So buying and selling securities as a business through a broker or otherwise for your own account is, now get this, as a matter of law. There's no discretion of fact. As a matter of law, dealer activity that requires registration. It's that fucking simple.
And again, they have no registration because they're hiding. They want to hide away from the law. They don't want anybody to see what they're doing.
Well, just their documents alone, Cam. Like most of the documents I see have this, like, the 4.99% blocker, right? Because if they exceed 5% or 5% or greater, they have to report. They
They said they owned 5%. They didn't report anything. I seem to miss that one.
Well, I mean, I'm just talking in general with the funds.
Right.
I've heard Bill talk about this in the past. These blockers. Well, those blockers are designed, and you want to know what's really, really messed up about the blocker? If the company or its transfer agent accidentally issues more stock to the funder, even if the funder made a mistake on how much stock should be converted and issued to them or exercised and issued to them, it's a breach of contract, which includes now a whole bunch of new dilution factors and dilution provisions that further ratchet the stock price down and they get more stock. In other words, even if it's their screw up on a conversion notice or an exercise notice and they get the results in more than 5% of the holdings of a public company, they hold the company liable for that. It's just really, somebody's got to straighten this crap out, So, I mean, that's it. It's a really bad game. And then you go back and you look at West Christian's spoofing case, and you could see that there was 3,000 fake bids and offers done in a second through high frequency bids and ask and trading through these algorithms. You think retail has a chance to even react to that crap? I mean, come on. I mean, the markets have to really change. There needs a fundamental restructuring at the core of how the public markets are governed and how the brokers operate in these markets, including the funders. There's got to be a fundamental change.
Well, listen, Mark, thank you very much. I want to keep your time and let Pete jump in here. But again, thank you. And I will reach out to the big holders in Finger Motion and have them get to the company and demand that they take action against these criminals. Thank you very much. I don't want you to speak out of, you're speaking in general, so I appreciate it and thank you very much.
All right. Thanks. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
William?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
William?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear
Hello.
me? Yeah.
Yep.
Pedro Philly is on my line, and I'm going to.
Well, I want to get Pedro's 2 cents.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hey guys, how are you?
Very well. Merry Christmas, and thank you for joining.
Merry Christmas to you as well. I want to say hi to all the Lynn representatives listening to the call at this time. Say hello out there, because we know you're there. My initial take was, anybody who has kids, the kid comes home from, you're sitting on the couch and your kid comes home, he's a teenager, and he just shuffles right to bed without saying goodnight or anything. You're like, all right, what are you doing? And you go up and, he's been drinking or doing whatever. The first thing, I just laughed. Honestly, when I saw that, I laughed. I'm like, why the fuck would this huge fund take the time, and they put language in there, a few nefarious actors. Like, wait a minute. This whole, and that's why I posted a couple memes. I'm like, to him, I was like, I fixed it. We spent the last 15 months moving this position and hiding it, so we can't be guilty. Now that it's been hidden, now we can go talk about it. I think the mere fact that they're talking about it it's like I said, your high school kid telling you not to look in the shoebox under the bed for a pipe. It's like, don't look over here, you know. So I can't speak to any legality on anything else, but it's laughable to me that they would take the time and effort to put out a press release like that. It's literally like, okay, I mean, you want to bring attention to yourself, really? You know, okay. I think if anything, I was half kidding, but I'm kind of not half kidding that they've managed to hide any type of liability in places that people can't see it, so then they can speak to it. Because it's clearly not the first time that they've heard about people talking about finger. Come on.
Oh,
6 months.
We put the truck in front of their building.
Yeah.
And the CEO of BRAG was going to Lynn because they heard things about them. And they walked right past the truck. My friend knows for a fact.
Exactly.
So they know all about it. Companies are going to them complaining, saying, hey, all we see is bad news about you characters.
Correct.
And they're sitting here losing business. That's what their problem is.
That's right. And they can't open their mouths until they make sure that it's all cleaned up and they moved it to 13 layers deep of LLCs that no one will ever get to in the Caymans or whatever. That would be my guess. And then, how it plays out, I have no idea. I'll be stunned if they actually try to take any kind of action, because then that's discovery and they don't want to have people looking under their hood. And so that's my general takeaway is why now? Why the day after good news? The timing, and it's just really suspect to me, the whole thing.
The activity, I believe what you said, the activity and the assault to push it down, okay? These guys have been moving. We've seen, crazy crosses. We've seen this, we've seen that.
Yeah.
They definitely have tried to bury the body and now saying, okay, the body's buried, let's talk now. That's what they've done.
That's what I think, and it's clearly, year end is what, 6 trading days away? If that, they can't have this be $6-7 against them for the year end mark. So it's, to me, the timing is it's actually not surprising that they would do this.
Right.
Why did they do this? Why didn't they do this in October? Why did they?
Pedro, this is exactly a different version of Capybara. This is a different version putting out this press release.
That would be my take. And they're probably, I think we're probably rubbing at it pretty good. And we're getting, like you said, some other companies that are involved with them are starting to go, wait a minute. Ever since we've been in bed with you, our stock's been fucking drilled. What's going on? Like, I think that's also a very distinct possibility that the companies are starting to push back a little bit and going, hey, what the hell's going on? And to your point, it's affecting the business or whatnot. You have to realize how big this fund is. Lind is a big fund. This isn't like a $80 million hedge fund, in Connecticut. Like, it's just a big fund. It's a big operation. Why would they? Right. I mean, why would they even go through the effort and to Mark's point about, well, we kept a little bit on. He's dead right. I mean, when I heard that, I'm like, that makes a ton of sense.
They made a statement about that.
They went out of their way to say we still have some. Look, I worked in a fund. We blew out of stuff. You keep a trailer from a tiny little position. No, you blow out of it. You sell it. You buy it.
Right. You don't want to see the symbol again. That's correct.
Yeah. And if it's a good one, then fine. We're out of it, but we'll monitor it. We're not going to keep a little tag in. That's not what they do. Give me a break. There's a legal reason for keeping some of that they have to be invested for. Some legal reason would be my guess. And I think Mark nailed that part of it.
Right.
But I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a securities lawyer. I don't
listen. This is all our opinion.
Yeah.
This is us having a conversation. This is our opinion. This is not legal advice. We said it 1,000 times. We just wanted to discuss. We're trying to figure out the criminal minds and what they're doing here and how.
It's having a conversation based on lots of experience and seeing stuff. And it also, like I said, to me, it boils down to like even just having kids and behavior. Why are they doing that now? Like, it's just, anybody on here who doesn't have kids yet that does, that's what you have to look at. Like, why is he doing that now? Right. And it's like the one time my stepson came downstairs. It was a Thursday night. I was sitting there watching the Thursday night football game. It's like 9:30 at night. My stepson comes down completely like dressed in like clothes. And he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" "Hey, Joe." I'm like, "Oh, good, man, good. Hey, I'm gonna go downstairs and play some video games." I'm like, "Oh, really? Yeah, okay, yeah, cool." I count to 30 and I go down, the window's open and he's gone. So I locked up all the doors and locked up the whole house, and he was ringing the doorbell at 3 a.m. I mean, it was so obvious in terms of their behavior. And to me, this is a behavioral thing. This is, why are they doing this now? And there has to be a reason.
So Pedro, what about Lynn Partners maybe just being a front for their organization of criminals?
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. I've been on plenty of calls where I've gone to a certain way of thinking lately, just because some of the stuff, again, behavior doesn't add up to me. Like in some of these other names, like MMTLP and GTII and other stuff, it's like, we've all seen it. Even long-term capital management was a big deal. They took them out and shot them, right? They did they do some things in terms of burying some shares and do whatever? Yeah, but they typically, when there's a bad situation, they take them out and shoot them. Like, how does Alpine get so many extensions, right, from a judge? Like, you just start going, wait a minute, there has to be something more there. Same thing with MMTLP. They're FINRA is fighting retail, who their mission statement is to protect, all the way to the New York State Supreme Court to not release the blue sheets, to keep information from retail. Why? If this is just some fund, they would come in, take them out, liquidate them, and if there's big liabilities, then that'll be adjudicated in the courts and the prime brokers and all the other stuff. This all has to be so much bigger than that you almost don't want to have to think about. But it's the only, honestly, I don't see how it can't be that. I think there's a lot of storefronts out there that have much bigger tentacles coming in. Look at, what's his face, Mintz. He had one or two clients I saw on some hedge fund website where they have to file the number of clients you have. And I think he had one. It runs $250 million. He has one client. That's a big client, right? That's not retail. That's not some rich doctor from the Hamptons, putting a couple $1 million into a hedge fund. That's $250 million. And then you see that his son interned at Apollo and his son interned at BlackRock. And you're like, wait a minute, is that BlackRock money? Are they use these storefronts to decimate these companies, and then the big boys come in and pick over the carcasses? Could that be it? Could that be the same thing with Alpine? That Alpine is just a storefront for a much larger whatever? Is the short in it? I learned some stuff that I'm not privy to reveal on the MMTLP side regarding how many shares are actually out there. Boy, pay attention there. Right? Pay attention there. And it also made me think of another company that I've been involved with. In 2021, they had 15.8 million shares outstanding, I think it was, and it ran from 30 cents to $7, and someone came in and bid them for 10 million shares. Think about that.
Whew.
So that means that that one account was short 80% of the float.
Right.
So
we've seen it in single motion.
Yeah.
I've seen it in GTII. I have friends that are big holders, and they've gotten calls to buy 19 million shares. They've gotten all kinds of crazy calls to buy their positions, and they've said no.
Totally, I absolutely 100% believe it.
You know what's amazing to me in their press release, in the document, which I just read to everybody before, not the whole document, they say they can't ever receive shares more than 4.99%. But in the press release, they say they own 6.99% or whatever they said.
Yeah.
Something's missing.
Yeah. Going back on the, I was on a call with Mark and some of the folks in the MMTLP community, and there's an interesting setup here that's going on because a lot of them are moving their shares to AST, and I don't know what's going on, but a lot of the brokers now are giving them a hard time. And one broker has flat out refused to allow a big holder of that to move their shares. So it's like basically moving your shares to, Computer Share or whatever it is. because it's a musical chairs thing now, and there's an interesting dynamic that could potentially play out here where does the liability fall, right? With the payment for order flow brokers, if you send your order and you're at XYZ broker dealer and they have a order flow agreement, the order gets executed at the third party payment for order flow broker. If they're selling an IOU or a counterfeit share, the liability actually sits at the broker dealer because it's in that account. And so if there is a come to Jesus moment where trades need to be settled, it's going to be the broker dealer who has the liability, and that's going to cause some finger pointing between the prime brokers or the broker dealers and the payment for order flow brokers. Because, like, how do you wait a minute, you sold the counterfeit share, but we have the liability now, and that's why I'm so interested and involved on the MMTLP side, because it's a frozen crime scene. With the halt, they froze it, and that's unprecedented. It's just like with GTII when you actually got a smoking gun of the short position being a problem for an entity. It's just so rare to see. And so there's a lot of interesting things moving along on that.
Well, Pedro, let me just stop there for a second. I'm speaking with law enforcement, and they're looking at an angle of a criminal complaint, and I pointed them to the broker dealers. I said, go after the compliance, go after the CEOs, go after the back office people, serve them with a criminal complaint. If they don't buy in, they fail to deliver, they're going to jail. That's it. Because without them, these trades don't exist. They can't carry these positions. When someone buys the stock, you then need to make sure that it's backed by a physical security and your balance at the DTC matches up. That's it. End of subject. The naked short selling game goes away. The people in the back office on Wall Street, I don't care if it's Goldman, Morgan, or Alpine, if they don't do their jobs in the compliance office and they get you go to jail. Mandatory 10 years. That's it. That's the angle that I've taken, and that's what I'm pushing through.
Yeah, and look, there's also an angle here that we know that 5 stocks were tokenized in January 21: BB, NOK, GME, AMC, and Silver, SLB. There's no question that those were tokenized to create fake locates, and I will not be surprised if the tokenization of stocks has gone on in many other names, as creating a unlimited store of what I call fake locates, meaning just an unlimited ammunition depot to sell stock, and that these big banks somewhere, these big money center banks, have been accepting these token locates as good locates, as if they were wrapped with one share of real share per token.
I have no idea what you're talking about, tokenization.
Okay. Well, I can talk more about it, but if you go and you listen to Sam Bankman-Fried gave an interview with Unusual Whales, and it was the last interview he did. He was arrested the next morning, but he was asked straight up. He said, one of the questioners said, you guys tokenized GME, AMC, and these 5 names. Were these stocks, your website claimed that they were backed 1 for 1 with a real share. I'm asking you straight up, were those tokenized securities backed 1 for 1 with a real share? And you can hear his answer. I have the recording, and I can send it to you. And you hear him. He goes, he knows immediately he's in legal jeopardy, because he knows that they were wrapped 1 for 1 with a real share, but he also knows that that's a lie. And so you hear it in his voice. He's like, well, I believe they were, but I'd have to get back to you on that. He was arrested 12 hours later. So there is a potential contingent liability floating around where, so now you can imagine if you're claiming that you borrowed the token and that's a good token locate, there's your fraud, because it's not backed with a share. So it's a fake locate to avoid FTDs. No, we have a borrow over here on the tokenized side. Okay, if you're starting to see what I'm talking about. And so that's a big deal. And so if that blows up, this is going to be Archegos times 100.
But Pedro, it's the same thing in the movie, The Big Short, where they were talking, Selena Gomez was at the blackjack table and people were making bets on the derivative behind her on her bet. That's the same thing they're doing now. They tokenize, so they're just making it worse. That's all they're doing.
Correct. They tokenize it, but the fraud is that when they tokenized them, they made the claim that they were backed by a real share. So they would put it in they use the term wrapped. It's wrapped in a real share. Well, that's the fraud. If you're claiming it's 1-for-1 with a real share, but in fact it's not 1-for-1 with a real share, it's just a fake IOU. But the fake locate was accepted by a broker dealer as a good locate for a borrow. Now you have, like I said, you have all these shares that were sold. It avoided FTDs because they falsely claimed that they had a borrow, when in fact they don't. So if whoever is doing the shorting blows up or it goes sideways, it's going to fall back on these big money center banks and go sky high. And that's what happened in Archegos, just the inverse with when Bill Wong walked away, all these broker dealers taking the synthetic other side were hedging the other side. The hedge was buying Paramount actual physical shares because they were short a derivative. And so what happened is then when he sort of walked away, all the broker dealers were long tens of millions more of Paramount, and it all collapsed. And that's what started the takedown of CSFB, and that led to their ultimate demise. And I'm sure the forced purchase by UBS was to hide contingent liabilities and bad trades. There's no way they were going to let CSFB go through a bankruptcy proceeding where they actually had to liquidate positions. There's no way it's going to happen. But I say that because this shit's floating out there. It's absolutely floating around out there, and it's without question. And so I don't know if it's prevalent in any of the names we're discussing, but it is a big issue out there.
Well, thank you very much, Pedro. And I just saw your last post with Gasparino following the horse with the bucket.
Yeah, and you notice they're worried about short transparency. Here's the other thing is, that's why I keep saying, and I'll shut up after that. That's why I keep saying that short transparency could be the mother lode of it all, because the only way counterfeiting and shorting microcaps works in a big picture is to be able to short the whole float or half the float, or what I said before about this company that has 15 million shares out, and some hedge fund in a panic on January 21st, 2021 comes to him and says, we want to buy 10 million shares at $7.50 after it's gone from 30 cents to $7.50. They want to buy 80% of the float, and guess what? They never filed a long position. So technically, they should have immediately, because it's over 10%, they should have by law filed that they owned more than 10% of the float within 72 hours. You have 72 hours if you buy 10% more or more of a company. You have 72 hours to file that position. Well, the fact that there was no filing of this company, of a new long buyer who just happened to wanted to buy 10 million shares, tells you it was a closing transaction, that it was a cover, because there's no long, right? They were naked short. They begged the company to sell them 10 million shares. The company sold them 10 million shares off their ATM. This company bought, whatever the math is, 66%, 67% of the company in one chunk or a couple transactions, but there was no long filing. So it has to be a short cover. That's how you can figure out whether something is covered or not, because if enough volume goes on that's more than 5% of the float, you know that they're covering up. Well, if the SEC just required the shorts to file just like longs over 5%, it would take away the economic incentive to short most microcaps. Because what? If there's 20 million shares out, right? So 10% would be 2 million shares. Half of that is 1 million shares, and the stock's $3. You're not going to do it for 4.99% to stay below the threshold. It's not worth your time and money, and it's certainly not worth if you have to file that short. Now you're short 25%. Guess what? Hedge funds will be built just to bury shorts who get out over their skis. So just forcing shorts to file, just like longs, equal treatment would absolutely cripple this whole business plan of counterfeiting microcaps into dirt, because the only way it works is if you can short the whole thing or multiples of the whole thing. So now I'll shut up.
That's great.
No, listen, thank you very much. Pedro, listen, I don't like to take everybody into the deep rabbit hole all over the street because most people are just trying to understand what's happening with Finger Motion and Lynn and how can they possibly sell 200 million shares of the stock. And I go back to in time, I was speaking to the CEO of Charlie Eddie Indian. The stock was trading 1 billion shares a day, and I was screaming at him to do a corporate action immediately because he had them dead. And it was 1 billion shares a day. And I tell everybody, if you just sold 1 billion shares at $3, it went to 5. At 3, it went to it's at a penny. The company after their reverses and they killed it. The company's worth a penny. Someone walked away making $3 billion.
Correct.
And that's how these guys are getting returns because there's no way. And I knew the best traders, I'm sure like you did. There's no way you can make $1 billion trading Tesla, NVIDIA going up and down. There's no way. It's impossible. You can't get in big enough. You can't get out.
Correct. And the other thing that people don't understand is it's actually gotten incrementally more difficult to beat the market because I keep talking to everyone asking me my opinion on the market, this and that. I said, we have public company inflation since 2000, we have 60% fewer companies, publicly traded companies. So the market's gotten more narrow, which means the indexes are really controlled by 100 stocks, which makes it even more difficult to beat the market, the indexes. So the only way you can beat the market is on the shorting of small caps, because if you don't have an uptick rule and you can get around the loophole of filing requirements, meaning you can short 10, 15, 20, 30% of a company, well, then you can then mark down your positions and you create your own alpha on demand. So we're underperforming the indexes. Okay, well, let's just go pound our shorts down, our short book down, because it's easy to do. And let's just mark it wherever we want. And it's a paper mark, but I call it turning paper into rock, meaning turning paper into real hard money, because the end of the year, they can pin this stock at this level and they're on paper up 50% on the position. That equate on 20 million shares. That's 10 million shares of profit at a 2 plus 20, 20% of 2 million. They're making this amount just on that one position. They take that hard dollar out in the form of paying the hedge fund managers. And then the liability, it just becomes greater on the hedge fund and to the limited partners, because the manager's taking his money out, paper into rock. And that's why you see so many hedge funds over the years. They get like a great run of like 5 years, and the manager makes billions of dollars himself. But then it all blows up. It blows up because they've been playing this marking game. It was just like the CDOs where they were marking them, but then there was a come to Jesus moment, and all of a sudden the fund's down 50%. They close up shop. Limited partners you take whatever left back, but the hedge fund manager has made all this money. Think Gabe Plotkin, wink, wink, right? So that's what goes on. And that's why I focus so much on the calendar and the marking down of positions, because most people don't understand how the pricing works, the performance pricing works, and you get paid on that paper mark. You can be short 10 times the float of a company that if you tried to cover a third of it, you would be insolvent in a week. It doesn't matter. If you're short from this price at 3 and you mark it at 1, guess what? On paper, you're up $50 million. So that's what you take out your performance payment, and then you move along, but the liability stays there. And so that's why this time of year and the timing of these guys saying this on Finger and other stuff is just all very, very suspect to me.
That is a great summary.
I don't want to keep you all day. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and good luck, Gasparino.
We'll do it again.
Absolutely, yes. I check all you put out, and it makes my day every day when you do that.
Well, you got to keep going, right? You got to keep going. Anyway,
you guys are 2 prize fighters. Both.
I mean, listen, Pedro has been a breath of fresh air for me since we found him, because he's just like me. We both come from the same background, and we're not stupid people. And these guys think, and they treat us as though we're idiots. And I'm not taking the shit from it. I'm sure enough he's not taking it either. Gasparino, these guys are all stooges. Who cheers on security fraud to steal from people? I don't even know how you do it. I can't. Listen, I was not a short seller, Pedro. I handled short orders for a lot of big players. I wasn't a short seller. I just didn't believe in it. And, I seen guys doing it, and I see them coming up with their fake stories like Mark Cahodes did with Gradient through the overstock thing. I was there for the whole thing. And they got busted writing the reports, shorting in front of the reports. Same thing Papa Barra did. All the guys shorting in front of it. It's the same pattern. Andrew Left, Carson Black, Hindenburg, they all do it. They're a team. They work together. How the SEC is taking calls from Hindenburg, paying them out on security fraud, when I put the truck in front of the SEC 13 times, calling them out.
Yeah, it's
13 times.
Absolutely remarkable. It's varying levels of scumbaggery, right? You have the normal short sellers, and here's the thing about the 5% thing that I harped about. Any real legitimate short seller that is a true hedge fund, which is, they think Home Depot is a better long than Lowe's. They're long Home Depot and they're short Lowe's, and that's where the idea of a hedge fund was originally born, right? You're long the stronger company and you're short the weaker company, and that's how you benefit, right? So there's that, but any legitimate short seller, would never short more than 5% of a company ever. I don't care how big you are. You just know the rules and how dangerous shorting is. They would never be more, and if they were short more than 5%, they would have no problem filing. A legitimate short seller would have no trouble filing. But the illegitimate guys, either the short and distort guys or the real scumbags who go after, cancer companies and women's diagnostic companies because they know these companies are vulnerable and defenseless and need money, those are the real dirty motherfuckers, right? Those guys, I'm sorry about the language, but those are those are the guys that fuel me, is the ones that, that go after these companies that are just trying to help society. And these guys wake up every day, get a cup of coffee at Starbucks, and go in, and their whole mission is to attack and short and distort biotechs trying to help society. I mean, there's nothing dirty. That's why I go after Sifu. This guy's, he's spoofing NWO. They absolutely did. Whether they get away with it legally because they have better lawyers, I don't know. But it's obvious because you can see the spoofing instances and all the other stuff. And that's a big case. I really hope the judge there, comes down and gives us a big victory, because it'll have far-reaching implications if that group of bandits gets busted for spoofing, because they do it in every biotech, every single one of them. And look at the markdowns. Just go look at 5 microcap biotechs. They're all getting pinned for year end. You know why? Because the entire fucking floats are short. I watched them move 85 million shares of stock in the pre-market in a 6-week period, about a month before Gabe Plotkin shut his fund down. They were offloading a massive naked short in the name that I followed for years. Me and 3 of the literally top 5 shareholders tracked the shares. They were crosses from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. pre-market. They never did anything. They moved 85 million shares. The entire float was 80 million shares. And we watched them offload that position. And this is a women's health company working on endometriosis and ovarian cancer. What kind of person are you? I mean, good Lord. And so that's what gets me fired up.
Well, I just want to I'll give you a tidbit. And, I am speaking with authorities, with the FBI and Secret Service. I am walking them through everything that's happened here. The Secret Service was the least knowledgeable about the whole thing. The FBI, much more knowledgeable. And the funny story about the FBI is they are long and wrong. They bought MMTLP and they bought finger motion. And many of the FBI in New York City agents are long these stocks and are ripping mad. How's that one?
That's beautiful.
And they're ripping mad. And I'm working on a criminal complaint to go against the broker dealers. Obviously, I said that forget the thugs. Let the broker dealers go get the thugs. I said we want to deep pocket people, lock them up, get the compliance officer, get the CEO if it's a public company. If anything is not bought in, you're responsible. You're going to jail. And the conversation.
Yeah. And if on that note with law enforcement, if you notice, I keep harping on Sifu, and I keep posting the same lawsuit complaint where where Virtu was using and misusing and abusing confidential customer data to trade against them. And this is by their prop traders. Citadel argued for years, we don't have any prop traders. We don't do any directional trading. Wait a minute. You're actually going in. And this is why I always talk about that I know for a fact what is seen. I've seen files of a buddy of mine who's been sued by the SEC, and in the discovery that he got from them, they turned over the files of his trading, and I personally saw the counterparty of his trades. I saw people's name, address, social security number, account balance, all sorts of data. And that's what these guys were doing. And from a criminal standpoint, I do not know how that is not illegal. That they used, they logged in, and the company provided unlimited logins and made it very easy for all the prop traders at Virtu to log in and see the other side of a client, all their information, to trade against them. I don't know on God's green earth how that's not illegal. Like I do not know. It's right there. And that's the stuff that blows.
Without the confidential information, every over-the-counter trader I know would always trade against your order flow. So they don't know the other side of it. They can see who's buying it, but they traded against your orders. So again, this is another way of trading it.
But this wasn't trading against your order flow. It was looking at your personal information, having access.
Right. Little different.
Yeah, this is knowing Ham owns this much, and he has to sell it. He's a trader, and he owns more than he can carry overnight. So we got him, right? He's going to have to sell. Now we attacked his position. And look, I tracked it with my buddies who are much bigger traders for years. I had guys calling me saying they know my position because they would corner him. If one of my buddies got out over his skis on an intraday situation, they would corner him, and literally the exact position size would come offered or bid for to get him out. I had one buddy of mine that had a position on. They literally logged him off of his computer, blew out his position, and then he came back. He logged back in. He goes, "What the hell happened?" We tried to get in touch with you, and we liquidated your position. I mean, they are
a lot of people I know.
It's not just like saying, okay, you're a buyer, I think this is a sell. No, it's you're a buyer. I'm going to go now look at your margin level, your capital level, your trading behavior, everything about you personally, to see if I can kill you. Because if you think about the power of that data, knowing that, hey, this guy can't carry this position. He's out over his skis. Let's kill him, boys. That's what they were doing. I don't.
Well, David Bleck, Pedro, David Bleck was the famous biotech guy. Bear Stearns and everybody did that to him. They raided his positions and killed him, put him out of business. And a lot of companies that guy started, they destroyed them all down. They actually became big companies that was life-saving, and they just destroyed the guy, David Bleck. And there's a story on Netflix about him if you want to go watch it, David Bleck.
No, I will. I just don't understand how that's not illegal. It's not just regular being a market maker and taking the other side of the trade. It's literally looking at someone's proprietary confidential data and using it to shoot against them. And I've seen it firsthand. I don't know how that's not illegal. If that's not illegal, then I don't know what is. It just blows my mind.
Everyone's getting a lesson about how bad it is. And I tell everybody every day, unless you're a professional that knows how to buy and flip and make quarters and teenies or whatever you got to make, you're going to get ripped off. Everyone's going to fall for it. Pedro is my neighbor is starting a company and he's working on some form of cancer. He's a doctor. We all buy in and you go in over your head and everyone gets crushed. Those are the ones that are deadly. Not buying 10,000 shares of a stock and you lose a half or $1. People, I've seen it 1,000 times. Oh, my friend's the neighbor. He did this. They jump in, they put their families, their friends, and they get destroyed. All of them. Yep. Those are the ones that wipe out people.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason to become a public company, none. And that's why the markets are getting more narrow and subsequently more difficult to beat the indexes. Therefore, the small caps become more and more a target as an alpha generator on the short side because it's the only way they can outperform the market. And then they go get more money. And that's how some of this stuff is a Ponzi. They're marking this stuff down, right? You have all these securities sold, not yet purchased. They couldn't possibly, even 10%, if even 10% of those numbers is in small caps, you're talking, $50, $100 billion in shorts in micro caps that we all know micro caps can go up 5x in a day. Well, that would put all these firms out of business. And so I lost my train of thought, but it's
No, listen, there's not enough money back in the trade. Susan Trinidad put it up. There's $12 billion in capital versus $250 billion in unsettled trades. I say liabilities. I mean, they don't have any money. They're using pennies on the dollar, and that's what they're doing. And when they get busted, they file bankruptcy, and everybody's stuck. That's what they've done.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, Pedro, thank you. I won't keep you all day. I appreciate it. Have a great holiday. And William will walk on from here.
Thank you, Pedro. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. Yeah.
So William?
Yes, I'm here.
William?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, so now everyone's got to feel Pedro just brought you up the ladder to a higher level and the criminal activity here. And I say it again.
From now on, I'm getting my information from Pedro, not you. No, just kidding.
No,
Just teasing
listen,
you.
I didn't want to go, I don't go deep into this stuff because it's,
It gets a little mind
just
bending.
go read Susan Trimbett's
I have.
book, or go look at her post, and you scratch your head because she makes it so technical. It's basically, we own a counterfeit and we want a real share instead.
Yeah.
And to get to that point, we break the whole financial system because there's nothing backing anyone's securities.
Yeah.
That's it. She's breaking it down to a failure to receive and a failure to deliver. The naked short has a failure to deliver. The brokerage firms have a failure to receive. She's just adding more terms to it. It's a counterfeit share. It's a naked short. It's counterfeit is what I use. And that's the approach that I went to the Secret Service with. They're counterfeiting. This is the biggest counterfeiting ring in history, the history of the world. And it's everywhere. They're catching them in South Korea, Thailand, whatever. And someone said to me, oh, Thailand's crooked. I told the guy, really? The U.S. is 100 times worse. Forget Thailand.
Well, it's interesting. While you were on the phone, well, you are still, but you know what I mean. MULN did a 1 for 100 reverse split, but it's trading up. It's halted at $15. Maybe somehow these things are working. I don't know.
Working? He reversed it 5 times already.
No, I know, but it's up to, I guess, 15 cents. So it's double.
Listen, again, what is that up on the day, really? Nothing, right?
I know.
It's up $5. It's down probably $300. So again, be careful, stay away from it. If they did it before, they're going to do it again. The company's in a bad spot. He's under the, he needs money. When you need money, you can't survive on Wall Street. If you're Home Depot or Lowe's, they'll give you all the money in the world because you could sell another hammer and make a penny on it. All right, that's how they look at it. You got to drive revenue, not profitability in some companies. That's how it looks. That's how Wall Street is. Lowe's, if you go to Lowe's, they're 2 blocks away from Home Depot's. Who built all these Lowe's on top of Home? Who needed another company like that? Morgan Stanley decided to do that. I think it was Morgan Stanley. And I always scratch my head about that. I could buy, how many hammers do you buy? I mean, how much stuff? And and now there's 2 companies doing the same thing. So again, this is not, they're just selling other people's stuff. So a company that has like MULN trying to build a car, once he gets over the hump in his technology, he has to sell these cars. And what's his revenue on that? At the end of the day, if he's selling a car for $60,000, what's he making? $5,000, $8,000 a car?
Right.
And that's what Wall Street's attacking. That's what they're attacking him on that. But Lowe's selling a hammer, making 20 cents on it, they're okay. But that's how it is, Wall Street. So again, listen, everyone, Lynn Partners made a statement. They highlighted many things by an attorney. The 1,000 share ownership basically is for a reason. Mark Brazil said it. Pedro said it. I even say it. There's a reason. Once you sell a position, you sell it. You don't sit there holding on to it. Right? 1,000 shares, they're doing it for a reason. They're considered a sneaky Pete. They're doing something, and the company has had many arguments with Lynn. Lynn was accusing them of orchestrating a short squeeze. Their lawyers said that. The company doesn't even know how to do a short. No one knows how to orchestrate a short squeeze because you can't do it. Look how hard it is. Just
Right.
trying to expose them. How many short squeezes have I caused? I didn't cause any. We're still here. We're waiting. And the only person that's going to orchestrate this whole thing is when law enforcement knocks on their door and drags them out. Discovery is going to abuse these guys. Their phone records, their bank records, their travel records, everything they do will be exposed. All right? They want to keep playing the game. We're not going away. All right? They accused the company of orchestrating a short squeeze. The company, my friend, gave them $3.5 million to pay off Lynn. Lynn wouldn't take the money back. They were going to pay interest, pay early, refused to take it. Instead, were demanding that they convert shares and driving it lower because they needed more shares because the stock was high and they were choking on it. They don't say anything about that, the communication with the company. When the company offered to pay it back, pretty strange, right? Who would
Yeah.
take their money back? It's a loan. Here's your loan. Credit card company, I'm going to pay it off. No, we don't want your money. We want you to keep paying interest. They take the money back. Lynn Partners completely went around all the rules. We don't want your money. We don't want it back. Because they didn't want the company. They were threatening to sue the company for raising money around their document. When the stock went to 10, they didn't want the company to raise any money. They want them to go back to them. The pimp, you got to go back to me. You can't go anywhere else. We're Lynn Partners. You signed this document. So when the company raised money at 10, not very dilutive, only 350,000 shares, right?
Yeah.
Instead, Lynn wanted to drive it down to get 5 million shares.
Absolutely. But hey, they're innocent. They're innocent. You're nefarious.
Yeah.
They're not.
I'm the one
Hey,
that-
do you think nefarious is the same as being deplorable?
No, nefarious means I'm good looking. I look like Brad Pitt as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you're good looking.
Yeah, I got a nose like Jimmy Durante. I'm bald like Kojak. I'm a mess.
You're
But
good
you wanna-
looking to your mother, or you were.
I was cute when I was a baby, not anymore. I turned into a monster. I'm half Uncle Fester and half Danny DeVito.
Oh,
That's what I turned
come
into.
on. You're-
I'm a complete car wreck. But anyway, I'm not going
That's
away.
not
I don't give
true.
a fuck about Lynn Partners. I couldn't give that scumbag. Tell him to come out of his building and tell us we're nefarious. Come outside. Everyone on the street knows he's a naked short seller. I'm sure we can go get savvy management, drag him in, Hal Pitts. He'll rat him out in a minute. They all work together. They all work together, these guys. All right, I know guys that were doing deals, whether it was, I forget all the names. I'm all blank on the names for a second. But they all work together, whether it's going through Aegis or this guy. It's the same people with the money doing all these deals. And they keep changing all the LLCs. Why? Because they want to hide their names and hide their positions. Go look at GTII and the Kramers. William, I just sent you Avid's video. Can you please put that up on Twitter for everyone? to
Yeah, I
see?
will.
we
Relax,
outline-
everyone. Relax,
Well,
everyone.
you got to move a little quicker, William. You're moving too slow for me.
I know.
Anyway, I just wanted to have this call quickly to bring everybody to the attention of these criminals and what they've done. All right, so I just wanted to make sure you understood that. All right, everybody, I got to run out to the store. And listen, if we will speak again, it's only Thursday. We got plenty of room here. This is like a hockey game. We're picking up the pace here now. That Lynn Partners is pulling the goaltender because they need to score a goal. That's what they're trying to do, or else they're going to lose the game. So they came out with a stupid press release.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're here. We're not going away. I appreciate it, William. And please.
No,
get
I
that Avid
appreciate
video.
it. I appreciate it.
All right, we pulled together an attorney, a top trader on the street, everybody in 3 minutes to address this situation. All right, so we're not going away. All right, everyone. William, I'll give you a buzz later. I'm running to the store. Have a great
Relax.
day, and I'll touch base back with you later. Thank you.
Relax, everyone. All right, bye. All right, I'm gonna take a quick
Coffee.
break. I'm just gonna take too much coffee. Just give me a I love my boy. All right. That was a great call. I really appreciate Mark Maziel, Ann, and Pedro Philly. That was awesome. And I apologize for raising my voice. That's one of my weaknesses. I started this whole effort. I didn't know any of you, but I wanted to stop FUD, basically fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I wanted to seek the truth. And I think I've admitted many times when I've been wrong. I'm still willing to do that. But my theory, which is not as sophisticated, but it's a derivative of Ham's theory, is predictive. It's predictive of where the stock price is going. There are apologists or those who are credulous or those who still have faith in the system. Their theories don't predict anything. And so anyway, I take great offense at being called nefarious or evil. That actually scares me. Because I don't want to finish those thoughts, but I take that pretty seriously. So I reserve all rights to file for defamation or libel or slander, whatever the hell. So anyway, Stephen, my Twitter feed is very clever. I hide my name. I changed the D at the end of my name to a 1. I didn't make that change. Twitter made that change. And I just accepted it. Why? Because I had used, back when Twitter was overseen by primarily overeducated women and simps, I had apparently, they deleted the tweet, so I couldn't see it, but I had apparently used an offensive word. My guess is I said something like, the shorts are going to kill the stock, something like that. But that KILL, or maybe I said the shorts are going to red drum the stock. You can't use those words, apparently. I was blocked. So my name prior to that had the D at the end. But after the appropriate time, being in the penalty box by these highly educated, certain of their mission, and gloriously censorial women and simps, I was allowed back on, but I had to change the D to a 1. So that's the anonymity of my name. Also, just to read this one bit from her, Dr. Suzanne Trimbath, in her book, Naked, Short, and Greedy, on page 285. She summarizes it. All of this means that investors and entrepreneurs, CEOs, are on their own when they venture into the US capital markets. All of this means that investors and entrepreneurs are on their own when they venture into US capital markets. And that backs up something Tony Forte told me. It backs up something Pedro Philly just said. It backs up what I've kind of said many times. If you're going public in the OTC markets, and that one is run by R. Carlson Crumby or something, or if you're going public on the NASDAQ markets, proudly represented by Adina Friedman, who I think got where she is because of one characteristic more than any others that she possesses. But she has no leadership skills. She has no vision, and she doesn't give a CRAP about CEOs, market caps, or you. 28 million a year. Or she's stupid. It's the same on-off switch with all these people. They're either stupid or they don't care. They're either stupid, they don't care, or they're complicit. It's a pretty narrow set of choices. I'm willing to believe she's stupid. I think that would offend her more than that she is saying she's complicit. Oh, I earned my position. I'm as smart. Whatever. All right. So I answered that question. Pedro said, what do we have? 6 trading days left in the market. This is our trading day here. I already crossed it off. Half a day tomorrow. So we've really got 3 left next week. He's technically right. Today, tomorrow, plus 3 plus 1 is 6. But these are half days. I expect real punishment in the stocks tomorrow. And maybe here, maybe all along here. So there might be an opportunity to add to positions for a January trade. Now, I want to say I agree with this right here. Skinny Whale is correct in my opinion. I think MULN took disastrous funding, and any rally that's happening now, I don't think is the beginning of any change in the fortunes of shareholders. I do think they are trying to fight back at the last minute. But remember, Roger Rabbit, in his list, I don't know if I have it here still, his list of things CEOs could do. I really wonder, same question, is he stupid? Maybe you add in naive, complicit, or paid off. Same questions, but he puts in the list of things that CEOs need to do is the reverse split. Do you understand? I have a lunch appointment with my sister in at 12:30, so I'll get off in 15 minutes. But do you understand what they do? If the criminals are able to short $100 million worth of stock, short I use in brackets, counterfeit shares, $100 million of stock, they are required to maintain those a percentage of those proceeds. Theoretically, it's $2.50 a share they have to leave at the prime broker, but I'm sure they get around that with all sorts of hiding tickets, fraudulently marking short sales long, moving it around. But anyway, in theory, they have to leave 100 million or more in place at the prime broker. Well, if you use the example of MULN right now, the criminals, even though the stock has doubled, what are the criminals just, they're having Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, happy, that I hate that term, Festivus, because our whole world is turned at least agnostic, if not atheist. And I think I'm not here to proselytize, but I'll tell you, for me personally, I would be scared to be in that position, but it's all right. It's all right, because I think God loves everyone, and you can always, I'm not a Bible person, but you can always, what's that the Lord said at one point? Even now you can turn to me. And I think that's always there. I think that's true. Anyway, I got off track. What happens with MULN with 100-to-1 split? Let's just assume, and I think it's a small number, but let's just assume the criminals were able to counterfeit $100 million worth of stock, and it's locked up at the prime brokers. A 101 split. All of a sudden, the requirement to hold whatever the amount is per share. In this example, I'm using 100 million, but technically it should be 250 million, but whatever, just my point. By doing the reverse split, instead of holding 100 million, they only have to hold 1 million. They can take $99 million out, tax delayed, or just tax free, because their goal is to sell or box, destroy MULN. It'll either sit there like a zombie stock for the next 3, 4, 5, 7 years, or it'll go through bankruptcy. There'll be no closing transactions. And the IRS, which will go after waitrons, as my sister, she was one, would call them, waitresses, for $600, and truck drivers and nurses and MAGA Republicans. They won't go after that. So that's, I agree with Skinny Whale. The other thing is the technology that Mullen has, or the contracts, they'll just slide over to Tesla or Tesla, and they'll slide over to China, Malaysia, or Malaysia, Mexico. They'll go away from the United States. The United States has a real problem, all sides. No, they haven't. Okay, here's Lynn Partners. What are you doing with that ape? Lynn Partners, y'all can't fathom being wrong about all these squeeze, despite relying on rumors and being wrong about all catalysts. Y'all.
Call from Andy.
Y'all. Well, thank you for
Call
your
from
point of view.
Andy.
Hello? Yeah, I got to quit in 10 minutes, but I'm still on. All right, hang on, relax, everyone. You're on. The voice is on.
All right, everybody, I'm driving and I was just thinking out loud to myself. Lynn Partners when they were converting, wanted to convert small pieces so they didn't have to file that they owned a percentage of the company. So saying they owned 6% and never filing, while they were trying to hide their conversion notes, they were doing small pieces because they didn't want anyone to know that they were filing.
That's
So
it.
I just remember that speaking with the management of the company at the time. They thought it was strange that Lynn was trying to convert small pieces so that they could hide their filings, and that's not that they own 5% of the company. And here they are, they said they own 6% of the company, yet never filed they owned any of the
It seems like they condemn themselves. That's an admission of, because if you read the documents, what they're doing is they're agglomerating their ownership to claim it at 6%. But they did it piecemeal, so they were trying to evade reporting requirements. As far as I'm concerned, they broke the law.
Make sure you mark that down, everyone, in case I forget that. And just one other thing I just want to rehash. My friend gave them $3.5 million at $10 a share. He did a private placement above the market, and he got 350,000 shares for funding the company to pay back Lynn at $10. Lynn drove it lower. They gave $4 million to the company, was repaid $4 million, and they converted, they didn't take the money. And they converted $4 million into what, 6 million shares?
Yeah.
My friend got 350,000 shares for the same amount of money. They got 5 million shares.
That's fraud.
For manipulating the stock lower.
That's theft, fraud, securities fraud, whatever you want to call it. That's stealing.
I showed you the difference from a legitimate person versus a criminal. That's what they did. They drove it down to get more shares so they can convert. That's what they did. They were driving it below $1 and were trying to get it lower. Then they wanted to get the average of how many days, whatever that stupid average is, to try to get it lower and get a discount from lowest price. Everything to destroy the public company. And here they are. They have the balls to say that it was profitable for them. Sure it was. Now we want to see they did 90 deals, converted 123 million shares. I want the FBI, Secret Service, and the DOJ to go through all their trades and catch these guys. If they're such a big, profitable person, let's see what happens to them then when they got to show their cards. Do you think the FBI and the law enforcement can't figure out what they're doing? That's the funny part. They think that they're smart enough with their lawyers.
GTII is 45 cents and for whatever thousands. It's up.
I
2
lost
cents.
touch with GTII today, out by these idiots.
I know.
You know, so I just want people to understand, like Pedro said, the timing of this press release to let us all know what nice guys they are.
Well,
right?
Kit Kitteridge made a good point. The timing is about a week or so from their earnings report.
Well, again, they're trying to mark it down. The position, we've been talking about weird trades. We see the trades up, down, sideways, every little thing that these guys do. We have no idea what we don't see. All right. But since they've been involved, this stock has turned into a shit show. It went from 6 million shares short, which I reported a long time ago. Before they came in, then it zoomed to 110 million. And since that point, over a 2-year period, now we're up to 205 million. So, and the company is only getting stronger. It has money in the bank. Fundamentals are getting stronger. Yet the stock activity is looking like it's a car wreck every day. Have that. The company has the look of a company that's ready to crash into a mountain.
You know, the other reason they might be doing it now is what Pedro said, what you always say, end of the month, but it's also end of the year. They want to book a paper profit. So look, it doesn't have to be just Lynn Partners. It's the criminals they're working with behind.
Yeah, no, listen, we all know they're doing it with partners around them. The Kramers are hiding their trades. Just go look at all the LLCs that Alpine has and the Kramers have. What's the network of LLCs that Lynn has behind it? I don't know. But I'm sure a court document will see many, many signatures and many LLCs offshore, Caymans, wherever it may be. And whoever's running the trading desk, making shorting this thing from wherever, it will eventually lead back to them. I told you, they overstayed their welcome here. All right. I just wanted to make sure you understood that. And I'm sure the management of Finger Motion is probably ripping mad because they know the communication between the company and Lynn Partners and their attorneys. All the things I just said to you, I've spoken to management and they said these things that they didn't understand what was going on. Not everybody understands the equity end of this game. All right. When they signed the deal with Lynn, I called up. I said, "What the hell? Who are these guys? You know, we needed the money for doing it. We needed the transaction, so we took a loan. They took a loan. It wasn't even an equity transaction. They papered it and entrapped them into this, turning it into a debt spiral. That's what Lynn Partners did with their document. You can't pay us back. We don't want it early. We don't want everything. And on top of that, you can't raise any money unless you come to Lynn. We're the only people that are allowed to be here. So when they raised the money from my friend, the hedge fund, they were fuming mad because now the company's fully funded and can pay them back. They don't want you to have money to pay them back. They want to cripple you and drive you to zero. That's what they wanted to do. All right. I just wanted to get that off my chest so you understand it. That there's been plenty of communication between Lynn, the company, their lawyers on their criminal activity. These guys are just a fancier version of the Kramers. That's all they are. Abbott put up.
They have a better class of attorney too, but it's still the same crap behind the curtain.
Right. It's the same thing. Again, it's Sedona. Sedona was a company that was taken advantage by Amro. That was the funder. They got busted and they gave up Amro and they all fled the country. There you go. That's how it's done. They think that we can't figure it out. Pedro is a professional. He's at a level that most people don't want to be at. He understands every angle of it. I just don't go into that deep detail because I don't have 9 more million hours to teach you about it. You don't need to know about all the other crazy stuff that goes on. At the end of the day, we're buying stock. We're buying an IOU created by these criminals. That's it. The street doesn't settle the transactions, and that's how this thing lives. When you do a dividend, they have nothing to give you. That's why GTI has a huge problem. MMTLP, huge problem. It was a dividend. Can't deliver it. That means everybody's short. They can't get it.
It was interesting, his point about outperforming other funds. What he didn't really focus on, although he said it, is they don't try to outperform so the investors in their funds make money, because the investors can't sell their, but they want to steal their fees out at the end of the month. It's usually 2%, 20%. So they get 2% during the year and they can take 20% of the profit, paper or not.
This is like a police chase. We're chasing a speeding car. They're trying to get away. So they're out there trying to throw garbage cans in the road. Hopefully we hit it and crash. That's what they're trying to do. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to get us to shake us off. We're not going anywhere. There's too much information that the public company has in communication with them and their lawyers. They want to go to court. I told Mark Brazil, we got to get Finger Motion, the biggest holders, to go get Mark Brazil, go after them as unregistered toxic lenders. Everything, every dollar they made would be surrendered to the company. All right? That's what they deserve. They need to be exposed. All right. So what they've done is just made it stronger for everybody here now. We all know what they're about. And hopefully the company will wake up and get these guys and get Mark Brazil and go after them. Unregistered toxic. They have no license. They have no license. And they sold 100 and converted 123 million shares in 89 toxic loans. 89.
Amazing.
Please put up that video.
What was the fee?
Excuse me?
What was the penalty?
The penalty for what?
Oh, I thought you just said they did 89 toxic loans. They got
They
caught.
did 89 toxic loans. They converted 123 million shares. Yet they're not a registered dealer. They're doing this as a imagine being a bank without a license. That's what these guys. You don't need to be a broker. Have a broker. Does brokers have a license? William, did you have a license?
Of course.
Not these guys. They have no license.
I was told by good attorneys, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it is a duck in terms of securities, raising money for companies, but they don't do anything about this.
Like I said before, these guys have done everything they can. Mark has a way going after them for being an unregistered toxic loaner, lender, whatever you want to call it. And these guys are operating without any license in the equity markets. And he said there was no protection when you're buying shares from the public company as a trader. You need to buy them in the open market, and they're not doing anything in the open market. All right. So again, listen, William, I wanted to make sure you got that. People, please watch Avid's video. He did a small sampling of Lynn's funding deals, and you can see how well they worked out for everybody.
Yeah.
All right, William, I'll speak to
Thank you
later.
very much, Ham. Bye. All right, everybody. In terms of the movie, Ham doesn't control the movie. Do you think he knows what he's doing? He's not a director. I lost money. I lost money, a lot of money on that Friday, like an idiot, going down to meet the team. I waited for them while they parked in front of the SEC. I did an interview. I'm sure it'll be on the cutting room floor, but it was probably an hour and a half, 2 hours long. We sat for coffee. Then we went to the SEC. Then we went and had lunch, which I paid for gladly. Great group. I have nothing but the highest compliments of the movie team. And I think that guy's name is Mark as well. They did a great job. But I was away from here and looking at trading on the last day of options trading. Cost me a lot of money. My fault. I'm not blaming you. But what happened to the movie? Well, I ordered my book on Amazon. Why isn't it here? Wait a minute. I ordered my food 25 minutes. I don't want to wait. Look, they interviewed Father Guido Sarducci in New York. They interviewed Anna in Georgia. They interviewed Busy Brands and I think others in California. They went to Mark Bazile, which I think is outside of New York. They interviewed me. I don't know what the F happened to the movie. They are working on it. Every movie you've ever watched takes time. And it'll come. It'll come. I'm not mad at you, Stephen Karas. There's some other guy I blocked asking, as if calling it grifting, as if I'm not mad at you, Stephen. His name was Grifting Griffin, implying that Ham has taken all that money. That money, by the way, that was raised, Ham didn't have access to the money. The only people that had access to that money was the producers of the movie. I met them. Good guys, good young men, good older guy, and I think slightly older than I am. Back when integrity was integrity, the Democratic Party stood for anti-war and wasn't. Anyway, I don't want to get going. He never gave a number, but I think his implication to me, it's going to go. He said it the other day. You weren't here, but he said it really high. So I would guess he thinks it's $100, $200 a share. I'm not speaking for him. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. And it's my own fault. Somebody said, why don't you sell before you go. I could have just gotten out before I went. But Stephen, it's not, it's just what happens. It happens all the time. When you take your eye off the ball, that's when it happens. It's my own fault. I should have known better. All right, here. Why do I get on? Okay, Grifting Griffin, your name implies that you want to imply to us that we stole the money. Yeah, I don't believe that you paid. But if you did, your money is going to the movie. It didn't go to Ham. It didn't go to me. The whole account was set up by the producers for the effing movie. They take interviews, they video, they have to mock it out, they have to put it out in the cartoon frames, they have to slice and splice and dice. So you know what, Grifting Griffin, your implication is people stole your money and that somehow they're taking too much time. I have a response for you, but it's Christmas time. So I'll wish you peace and Merry Christmas. Don't have a stroke over it. Very funny. Very funny. Yeah, I've got to go. I think, let me see. She might be right there. All right, I have to sign off. Maybe I'll come back later. GTII is trading up nicely. Keep your eyes tuned. I did, Charlie, I did block him out, but the thing is I hit timeout instead of delete. So he came back on. I'm a little annoyed that I'm called nefarious and evil. And then to see that, I get worked up. But anyway, it's a weakness of mine. It's a character flaw. Merry Christmas. And we'll try to come back. We'll try to come back. I wish all of you Merry Christmas. I thank you for watching. This is a big fight, and it causes a lot of tension for everybody. I really appreciate that Ham came on. I really appreciate Busy Brand's efforts. I really appreciate Mark Bazile and also Pedro Philly's participation. I love all of your comments, and I wish each of you Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and peace over the holidays. But we might be back later in the day. Certainly we'll be back tomorrow. Cheers.